Question number 10. Derive the quadratic formula by completing the square and solving the equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay. So, where do I get started? I'll get started by just dividing everything by a, just so that we get the x squared by itself. So we divide everything by a. A over a is 1. 0 over a is just 0. Okay. Now, what can we do? I will just subtract c over a from both sides of the equation. So we end up with x squared plus b over ax equals negative c over a. Great. Now we need to make this a perfect square trinomial. That way we can factor it and essentially only have one x, which is what we want. So what should we add over here to make this a perfect square trinomial? We're just going to take the b over a. We will divide it by 2. And we're going to square that. Now, b over a divided by 2 is equivalent to b over a times half. We're still squaring it. And b times 1 is b. A times 2 is just 2a. Once we square it, we're going to have b squared over 4a squared. We're applying the square to the 2 as well. So 2 squared is 4. A squared is just a squared. So I will add b squared over 4a squared over here and to the other side as well. There we go. Okay, now that we have this, and we know, yes we do, we know this is a perfect square trinomial, which will factor nicely as x plus a certain number squared. And I'm just going to copy everything else down here. We have negative c over a plus b squared over 4a squared. Okay, so how can we easily find this number? I can just divide b over a by 2. Or in other words, multiply b over a by half. So we get b over 2a, just like over here. Look at that. Fantastic, isn't it? Yes. Well, maybe not. So now we can take the square root from both sides of the equation. We're going to get a plus or minus over here. And what I'll need to do is actually find a common denominator when I add, or essentially combine, these two fractions. So to get a common denominator, I will need to multiply the first fraction by 4a over 4a. And with that, a times 4a is 4a squared. And that will be our common denominator. Now, negative c times 4a is negative 4ac. And we're adding b squared. Over on the left-hand side, these would cancel out. So we just have x plus b over 2a. Great. Now, what can we do? I can actually subtract b over 2a from both sides of the equation, so that x is completely isolated, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to isolate x because we're solving for it. So we have negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of Now, I'll put the b squared in front because it's positive. B squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Now, let me continue over here because it will have more room over there to continue. So x is equal to negative b over 2a plus or minus. Now, once we take the square root of a fraction, we can just split it up like this. So I have b squared minus 4ac up top, and down at the bottom we have 4a squared, the square root of 4a squared. And what is the square root of 4a squared? It's actually just 2a. This whole thing is just 2a. Why is that? Well, square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a squared is just a, so that's 2a. So we have x equals negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So here we have a common denominator already of 2a. So x is just going to be negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And there we go. We have derived the quadratic formula.